Today I'm going to present the 2023 action comedy film, The Family Plan. The movie opens in the quiet, unassuming suburbs of Buffalo, New York, where we are introduced to Dan Morgan. On the surface, Dan is the picture of a contented everyman. He is a top-performing car salesman at a local dealership, a devoted husband to his wife Jessica, and a loving father to 3 children, the sullen and perpetually angsty teenage daughter Nina, the tech-obsessed and socially awkward teenage son Kyle, and an adorable but demanding infant named Max. Their life is a predictable rhythm of school runs, soccer practices, and family dinners. But a closer look reveals a man living in a state of constant paranoia. He actively avoids any form of public attention. He ducks away from security cameras, refuses to have his photograph taken, and abhors social media with a burning passion. He keeps his head down, his routines rigid, and his life as unremarkable as possible. His daily existence is a carefully constructed facade, a performance of normalcy designed to hide a monstrous secret. He finds comfort in the mundane, like a simple anniversary dinner with his wife, a chance to reaffirm the normal life he has so painstakingly built. During their anniversary dinner at a local theme park, this fragile peace is shattered by a simple, careless act. A group of obnoxious teenagers, eager for their own social media content, take a selfie with Dan and Jessica in the background, capturing them in a love. When Dan, his instinct screaming, confronts them and demands they delete the photo, the teenagers mock him. They are dismissive and cruel, refusing to acknowledge his anxiety. They immediately upload the picture to their various social media platforms, broadcasting Dan's face and location to the entire digital world. This seemingly insignificant moment, a brief flash of a camera phone, is the catalyst that will shatter his entire world. The digital footprint he spent a lifetime trying to erase has now been casually handed to his worst enemies. He knows, with a cold certainty that settles in his gut, that the past he thought was dead and buried is about to come roaring back to life. It is then that the full extent of Dan's deception is revealed. He is not a car salesman. He is a former elite government assassin, a ghost who operated in the darkest corners of the world. His past, which he thought was securely hidden under layers of suburban mediocrity, has found him once more. While shopping with his infant son Max at the local supermarket, his worst fears are realized. A highly trained operative, moving with predatory grace, tracks him down and attacks him in the middle of the frozen food aisle. For a moment, Dan is just a terrified father protecting his child, but then, in a brutal and efficient sequence of movements, he neutralizes the threat with a speed and lethality that is truly shocking to witness. He disarms the man, breaks his arm, and incapacitates him, all while keeping Max safe. Dan contacts his old associate, Orgy, a master forger and document specialist who lives in Las Vegas. Orgy confirms his worst fears, warning him that McCaffrey's network is vast and that his only option is to run, to disappear completely. With a heavy heart and a growing sense of desperation, Dan makes a snap decision. He will take his unsuspecting family on a spontaneous road trip to Las Vegas, where Orgy will be waiting with new passports and identities for all of them. He must uproot his entire family from their comfortable lives to save them from a threat they don't even know exists. This is the only plan he has. He will manipulate them, but Dan sets his desperate plan in motion with a series of swift, decisive actions. First, he pulls his daughter Nina out of high school, bribing the skeptical principal with an incredible deal on a new car to smooth things over. Next, he tracks down his son Kyle, who is deep within a clandestine gaming house, streaming his gameplay to a legion of online fans. He drags his protesting son out of the digital world and back into reality. Finally, he intercepts his wife Jessica at her physical therapy practice, spinning an elaborate story about winning a sales contest at his dealership. The prize, he tells her with a forced smile, is an all-expenses-paid, once-in-a-lifetime family road trip to Las Vegas. The family is bewildered, but somewhat excited. They pile into their minivan, the quintessential symbol of suburban life. Dan's paranoia is immediately validated. He spots a suspicious black sub following them, a clear sign that McCaffrey's surveillance team is already on their trail. The hunters have picked up the scent. Realizing his minivan is likely equipped with a tracking device, Dan devises a quick and clever plan. He makes a sudden stop at his car dealership, claiming he needs to grab something from his office. Using the service bay, he puts the minivan up on a lift and, with a practiced eye, quickly locates the bug on the undercarriage. He smashes it to pieces, severing the digital leash that McCaffrey's team had on them. To ensure they cannot be tracked through their personal electronics, Dan fabricates a story about wanting a technology-free family trip. He makes his family throw all of their cell phones out the window as they drive, a symbolic act of cutting all ties to their old life. The family's first stop on their vacation is Iowa City, where Nina is desperate to visit the campus of Southern Iowa University, hoping to reunite with her long-distance boyfriend, Trevor. Dan, trying to play the part of the normal father, reluctantly agrees to the detour. As the family takes a guided campus tour, Dan's expert eye spots a man in a suit, a German tourist who seems out of place. He is immediately suspicious and believes this man is another hitman sent by McCaffrey. His suspicions seem to be validated when the man follows them into a chemistry lab. A tense confrontation erupts, and Dan engages the German tourist in a fight, only to realize in horror that he has made a terrible mistake. The man is just a confused tourist who thought the lab was a museum. The real attacker, a silent and brutal assassin, emerges from the shadows, a ghost in the fluorescent lighting. Dan engages him in a vicious and desperate fight, using his superior skills to subdue the killer, eventually knocking him unconscious with a heavy piece of chemistry equipment. He rejoins joins the campus tour as if nothing happened, leaving his family completely unaware of the deadly drama that just unfolded behind their backs. Later, Nina escapes from her family to find Trevor's dorm room, hoping for a romantic reunion. Instead, she finds him in a compromising position with another girl, shattering her heart. Her father finds her in the hallway, and in an unexpected moment of tenderness and paternal wisdom, Dan teaches her a few simple but effective martial arts moves for self-defense. He doesn't tell her about his past, but he tells her that it is a skill for a woman to always have a plan, to always be ready to protect herself. Empowered and filled with righteous fury, Nina returns to the dorm room and uses her new skills to publicly humiliate her cheating boyfriend and his new girlfriend, delivering a satisfying and comedic beatdown. She's no longer the victim. The family, bruised but still together, gets back on the road. A violent car chase ensues, scored to the relaxing, calming sounds of Enya playing on the minivan's stereo. It is a bizarre and comedic sequence as Dan, with the skills of a master driver, weaves through traffic, narrowly avoiding disaster while the rest of the family enjoys the peaceful music. He is increasingly desperate to keep his family alive and keep his monstrous secret safe. The Morgan family finally arrives in the glittering, chaotic, and overwhelming spectacle of Las Vegas. For a brief, fleeting moment, the family's true purpose for being there seems forgotten as they marvel at the architectural wonders, the neon lights, and the sheer energy of the city. Dan's plan is simple: get the new identification documents from Augie and vanish into the ether, leaving no trace behind. But Jessica, who is growing increasingly suspicious of her husband's erratic behavior, wants one night of normalcy. She wants a romantic dinner with him, a chance to reconnect and salvage their strained relationship. She is tired of the secrets and the lies. Reluctantly, Dan agrees, knowing that refusing would only raise more questions. They tell Nina and Kyle to babysit Max in their luxurious penthouse suite. But the teenagers predictably ignore their responsibility and head down to the hotel's massive HyperX gaming arena to immerse themselves in the virtual world. While Dan and Jessica enjoy their expensive, awkward dinner, Dan is internally wrestling with his conscience. He knows the truth is about to explode, and he desperately wants to tell Jessica the truth about his past. He wants to be honest with her for the first time in their entire marriage. Dan and Jessica return from their dinner to find the suite a wreck, the children missing, and armed mercenaries everywhere. In a whirlwind of fury and desperation, Dan's true nature finally explodes for everyone to see. He moves with lethal precision, his body a blur of violence. He disarms and kills the attackers in a shocking display of brutality that is horrifying to witness. He is a killer. At the HyperX arena, the kids are confronted by another team of assassins. Kyle, using his gaming headset and his intimate knowledge of the arena's layout, manages to create a massive auditory and visual distraction, giving Nina the time to call their father for help. Dan arrives just in time. Nina and Kyle watch in disbelief as their father, the man they always mocked as a boring car salesman, transforms into a relentless action hero, a super soldier who methodically eliminates the remaining threats. He was a former elite assassin for a shadowy government agency. He faked his own death in a fiery explosion to marry Jessica and live a quiet, normal life. His family is consumed by a mixture of rage, shock, and profound betrayal. Jessica feels like she's been married to a complete stranger for the past decade. She is heartbroken and furious. Dan gives them their new passports and identities, explaining that their old lives are over. He tells them they must leave the country immediately to survive. A family that was once united against the world is now a collection of frightened individuals, each struggling to process the impossible reality of their father's secret life. The next morning, a defeated and exhausted Dan is ready to execute his escape plan, but Jessica has finally reached her breaking point. She refuses to go with him, stating with bitter conviction that the danger is not following her or the children, it is following him. She decides to take the children and return to Buffalo, to reclaim their home and their old lives. She wants nothing more to do with him or his lies. Dan watches helplessly as his family walks away from him, the life he built crumbling to dust. He is alone with the consequences of his choices. Jessica, wanting to ensure a safe and quick journey home for her children, calls Gwen, a seemingly kind and helpful woman she met at her gym who runs a travel agency. Gwen, who is conveniently in Las Vegas, offers to send a private jet to pick them up from the airport, providing a safe and luxurious way to get back to Buffalo. Jessica, grateful for the kindness of a friend, accepts the offer. She has no idea she is walking into a trap. But Gwen is not just a travel agent. She is one of McCaffrey's most dangerous operatives, a woman with a personal vendetta against Jessica. Once the family is on the private jet, Gwen reveals her true colors. She is cold and calculating, and she takes them hostage. Jessica and the kids are delivered directly to McCaffrey, who is waiting in an abandoned and dilapidated Vegas hotel. McCaffrey, the ruthless mastermind who has been hunting Dan, reveals the man who orchestrated the entire hunt, the man who wants Dan dead, is his own flesh and blood. In a chilling, tense confrontation, McCaffrey holds Jessica, Nina, Kyle, and baby Max hostage. He makes a deal with his son. He tells Dan that he will let his family go, but only if he agrees to rejoin his organization as his top assassin, returning to the life he fled so long ago. Dan, with no other choice, agrees to surrender himself to save his family. He steps forward, willing to sacrifice his own freedom and his new life for the lives of the people he loves. McCaffrey, true to his word, orders his men to release Jessica and the kids. He He arranges for a private jet to take them back to Buffalo. However, Gwen has other plans. She is consumed by a jealous rage, still in love with Dan, and she will do anything to get him back for herself. She throws a knife into the back of the pilot, stranding the family at the airport and preventing their escape. She takes them back to the hotel, intending to use them against Dan one last time, to break his spirit completely. With the drone's assistance, Dan escapes his cell and prepares for a final confrontation. He calls in an army of his own, but his only reinforcements are his untrained, terrified family. The climax of the film begins as McCaffrey calls his entire mercenary army into the hotel's grand lobby, a vast and opulent space now turned into a war zone, to kill his son and reclaim his property. Dan, armed with anything he can find, engages in a brutal one-man war against an army of highly trained killers. The action is a breathtaking, relentless ballet of violence. Dan is a whirlwind of destruction, moving through the lobby like a vengeful spirit, using his environment as a weapon, tables, chairs, and whatever else he can get his hands on. He is fighting against impossible odds, a lone wolf against a pack of wolves. The battle spills out onto a nearby construction site, a maze of steel girders and concrete slabs. Here, Dan, with his son Kyle providing tactical support from a high vantage point via the drone, methodically eliminates threat after threat. The father and son are a dangerous and effective team. Meanwhile, Jessica is left to protect her daughter and baby. She is cornered by Gwen in a dark, disused kitchen. Gwen taunts Jessica, revealing her long and intimate history with Dan, her bitterness that he chose a normal life with her over the life of power they could have had together. She tries to crush Jessica's spirit, but Jessica is not the same woman who got on that plane. She is a mother fighting for her children. She was a former Olympic-level decathlete before marriage and children, and now those dormant skills are awakened. She uses her athletic prowess and the skills she learned from years of training as a physical therapist to fight back. She is fierce, relentless, and incredibly resourceful. She uses kitchen equipment as weapons, improvising her attacks. In a brutal, bone-crunching hand-to-hand fight, Jessica uses everything she has to overpower Gwen. The two women are evenly matched, each fighting for a different kind of love. In a final, shocking, and decisive moment, Jessica hurls a broken piece of bamboo, a leftover from a set of decorative curtains, like a javelin a move straight from her decathlon pass straight into Gwen's chest. The projectile strikes true, killing Gwen instantly. Jessica collapses, exhausted and horrified by what she has done, but alive. She is now just as capable and dangerous as her husband. A floor below, the final confrontation takes place. Dan and McCaffrey, father and son, are locked in a savage and personal fistfight. It is a struggle for the soul of the family, a fight between the man Dan was and the man he has become. McCaffrey gets the upper hand and is about to deliver the killing blow to his own son. But just as he is about to pull the trigger, his granddaughter Nina, acting on instinct, distracts him, giving Dan the split second he needs to turn the tables. He knocks his father unconscious, finally ending the threat to his family once and for all. The nightmare is over, with McCaffrey defeated and unconscious, his mercenary army scattered and defeated. The Morgans are finally free. The family is bruised, battered, and traumatized, but they are alive. They are together. In the aftermath of the immense chaos and violence, something remarkable happens. The family that was slowly falling apart has been forged together by the shared experience of danger. Dan is no longer a car salesman, hiding his skills and talents. He has opened his own successful security firm, using his lethal skills to train ordinary people and local businesses in self-defense, turning his dark past into a force for good. He is finally using his skills for a legitimate purpose. He is proud of who he is. Jessica has rediscovered her own passion. She has taken a job as a high school track and field coach, using her own athletic experience and passion to mentor the next generation of athletes. She is no longer just a wife and mother. She is her own person, pursuing her own dreams. They are both using their hidden talents and strength to build a better life. The family is seen packing up a large recreational vehicle for another road trip. This time, the trip is not a frantic and desperate escape from danger. It is a celebration. They are embarking on a cross-country journey, taking their eldest daughter Nina to Stanford University, her original dream school that she had given up on. The entire family is together, smiling, laughing, and bickering like a normal family. Their bonds have been forged in the fire of an unimaginable trial, and they are stronger for it. Dan, hearing the news report, looks at his family with immense pride. His daughter has not only survived the ordeal, but has used it to make a real difference. The suburban dad who once tried to hide from his past is now living his life fully and openly, surrounded by the people he loves most. His secret is no longer a burden, but a part of his family's unique and powerful story. The film ends with a final comedic beat, as the reveal that the family is towing their trusty old minivan behind them.